Join millions who trust Rumble's top live streaming personalities to break down the news that matters in real time. Tired of being silenced? Feel like you're being held back from mainstream platforms? Rumble is your free speech sanctuary. Join thousands of other content creators. Join Rumble.com. Choose an open internet and free expression. Choose Rumble.com today. Sponsored by Rumble.
Fraud moves fast. Rapidify moves faster. Powered by AI-infused technology, Peraton's rapid fraud intelligence helps government customers outpace fraud schemes while saving billions of dollars each year. Learn more at Peraton.com/fraud.
By gunfire on eastbound I-70 near Mount Airy, killing a 20-year-old passenger and wounding the driver. The victim was identified as Eduardo Urrea of Silver Spring. 3 others in the truck were not injured. Police have not released any details about the vehicle where the shots came from, and they are hoping someone with some dash cam video will step forward with information. We have a new case of measles to track in the D.C. area.
An international traveler arrived at Dulles on June 8th between 10:30 in the morning and 1 p.m. That person then took a Silver Line train to the Metro Center station and got on a Red Line train headed toward Shady Grove. The passenger is believed to have used several public transportation services since then. If you think you may have been exposed, definitely contact your doctor.
7 News' Adam Longo. Sales of invasive bamboo plants may soon be banned in Montgomery County.
Today, the county council will introduce legislation to ban the sale of bamboo.
In urban and suburban areas, I think it's a real mistake to intentionally plant the running types of bamboo.
John Tronfeld with the University of Maryland Extension's Home and Garden Info Center says bamboo plants have underground stem structures that can grow
a foot or so below the surface of the soil, and they can grow great distances,
allowing bamboo to spread rapidly and take over your yard and your neighbors. Heather Curtis on WMAL and WMAL.com.
An NIH lab at Fort Detrick was closed due to a personnel issue, and Maryland Democrats want to know why it's still closed more than a month later.
The lab the NIH runs is the highest security level.
NIH Director Jay Baldacciaro last month on The Vince Show after the security incident inside the lab.
Contractor had deliberately cut a hole in one of the biocontainment suits of a fellow worker. It was over a liver spat, as best I can tell.
That contractor may have been exposed to Ebola. Director Baldacciaro says he'll keep the lab shut down until the safety culture is corrected, in turn leaving 168 lab workers without a job. Barbara Britt, WMAL and WMAL.com.
Checking your money, the Dow futures are up 270 points at this hour. NASDAQ futures up 178. Up next, traffic and weather on WMAL.
At Grand Canyon University, we believe in equal opportunity, and the American dream starts with purpose. By honoring your sacred vocation of nursing, you impact your family, your friends, and your community. GCU's RN to BSN online degree program allows you the freedom to balance online coursework with practicum hours while helping you achieve your goals and serve others. Find your purpose at GCU. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver. So just like you, he's covered, inside and out. And he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The 7-Eleven Snack Pack gets you 2 taquitos, a bag of 7 Select chips, and a large refreshing Big Gulp for just $5 with 7 rewards. So when your brain is like, taquito, you know it's time for 7-Eleven. Valid through 6/24/25. See app for full terms.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic and weather. Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
270 leaving Clarksburg and going northbound, jam to get past the crash after 109. A single lane gets by, overturned tractor trailer and an SUV involved. 355 northbound picking up a lot of the bailout traffic. We're still jammed through Greenbelt. Crash cleanup on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway northbound before the exit for 197 in Laurel. Was a single lane getting by there. And all traffic still stopped in Vienna, eastbound 7 at Colvin Run Road, the west intersection for the crash. Now Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
It's going to be cloudy today, and today the coolest day of the week with high temperatures on either side of 70 degrees. It'll be warm and muggy overnight with lows in the 60s. Tomorrow we warm into the low 80s with high humidity and evening thunderstorm chances Tuesday, hot and humid midweek. I'm 7 News meteorologist Eileen Whalen in the First Alert Weather Center.
63 degrees right now at Reagan National. I'm John Matthews. News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
Now's the time for us to recommit to the core values of this country. And each and every one of us can do it. Talk to a neighbor rather than arguing. Debate an issue. Shake hands. Find common ground.
Tim Walz, the left-wing, radical, dim-witted, can't load a shotgun Democrat governor of the once great state of Minnesota. They apparently have 10,000 lakes there. No kidding, that's a lot of lakes. Holy smokes. Yeah, he's talking to us about our values. Last week, he declared that communist China has seized the moral high ground from the United States and Western civilization, I guess because they've murdered so many people and they still have an active slave trade. And the Democrat Party here is the party of the old slave trade. And, you know, what do illegal aliens come here to do? To wipe them, the liberals. And got another Democrat today, another elected Democrat complaining, hey, my lawn cutter didn't show up today. Where is my house cleaner? Somebody get my illegal alien a roll of toilet paper. I've got some. The Democrat Party. And speaking of the Democrat Party, the big now, Iran continues to attack civilization because they're bloodthirsty ghouls. You know, radical Islamists, the Ayatollah and all that stuff. Hostage taking, criminal regime. They're terrorists, and that's a generous use of the word. There are harsher words that could be used to describe the Iranian regime. But never mind that for right now, because that is going on and on. I've got a friend, Matthew Foldy, who's still in the middle of the bombardment ongoing in Israel. We had a great caller last week calling in from Israel as well. And we're keeping a close eye on that. Our ear is to the ground. We've got ears and eyes on all of that. And I've got to say, the big story over the weekend was the psychopath that murdered a Democrat woman, member of the Minnesota State House, and her husband, Democrats both in their home. The guy showed up masquerading, disguising himself as a police officer, wearing a rubber latex mask, face mask with a whole hood thing with a bald head. And he showed up and he murdered these two people. But that was only after he shot and nearly killed another Democrat member of the state Senate and shot his wife. I believe the state senator, a man, was shot 9 times. His wife shot 8 times. They remarkably survived. And then the individual, Vance Luther Bolter, went to the second home where he shot and killed the woman, a Democrat member of the State House, and her husband, murdered him as well. A horrible act of political violence. And I've got to say, I've got a lot of questions about this, a lot of questions that I believe remain unanswered, peculiarities that need to be addressed because it's a politically charged world we're living in. And when I saw this, initially going back and forth with friends, as you might do on text message threads and so on, one of the things that emerged very quickly was that the 2 Democrats that he targeted, and the only 2 Democrats that he targeted, were the 2 Democrats that had betrayed the Democrat Party in a big vote days earlier, voting with the Republicans. And these 2 Democrats, one in the State House, one in the State Senate, betrayed the Democrat Party, crossed over, voted with the Republicans, And their votes were enough to give the Republicans a big win on health care for illegal aliens in the state of Minnesota, which the Democrats were pushing for. And the Democrats and the media were very angry with these two Democrats because they crossed party lines. They both voted with the Republicans. Because of their two votes, the Republicans had a big legislative win.
They're starting already, the fuckers.
Free, that is to say, taxpayer-funded, illegal alien health care in the state of Minnesota. Now, why would any, and then they tell us because they've got some slovenly, morbidly obese individual who wears a Papa John's polo shirt covered with food, who lives in a very small house where he rents a room to the killer, Vance Luther Bolter, and for about $220 a month, I think he rents the room. And he said to a local reporter, allegedly, not on camera, said, oh, yeah, Bolter is a big Trump supporter. Now, this is January 6th times 10 for the Democrat Party. You may recall that on January 6th, the only person shot and killed was Ashley Babbitt after serving 12 years honorably in the Air Force and not being expelled for repeated cocaine abuses like Hunter Biden, you know. But never mind that. She's the only person that was killed on January 6th. And now this clearly political violence, political assassination. And the Democrats, they need to turn it into Trump did it. The Republicans did it. Because in the meantime, they're out sacking and looting Los Angeles and Portland, Oregon, and they're burning and assaulting police and mob violence, which they've made perfectly normal from coast to coast. They made it normal before January 6th, by the way. And without their making mob street political violence normal, January 6th would never have happened. Never, not a chance in heck that ever would have happened. But let me get into this story because it's quite an amazing story. And I think there are a lot of outstanding questions. That is to say, not that they're great questions. They're just questions that are outstanding that have not been answered. And I guess here, why would a Trump-loving Republican, as the morbidly obese roommate who owns the house, who rents the little room for $220 a month or whatever it is, $200 and something a month, why would this Trump-loving Republican Catholic pro-life figure, why would he target the only two Democrats in the history of Minnesota to save the Republican Party in a big and highly controversial vote on health care for illegal aliens? If you're going to target two Democrats, why would you target the two Democrats that have just infuriated the Democrat Party? You know, you'd think that Republicans would single out these two Democrats for an award, have a black tie dinner for them. Hey, you guys did a reasonable thing. Isn't that wonderful? Also, why did this individual, Bolter, why did he arrive at the scene of the second crime where he murdered the nice lady legislator and her husband? Why did he apparently spent a lot of time at that house. And then the police showed up. Was he waiting for the police to show up? And then he fired some shots and then he ran away on foot. But he left his vehicle there. And in his vehicle, very, very unusual, they found immediately his so-called manifesto, because he's apparently a manifesto psycho. And the manifesto that he left right there for the police and may have waited for the police to arrive in his fake police vehicle with his fake police uniform. And the police immediately found the manifesto in the vehicle. And the manifesto is, oh, I'm a Trump-loving Republican. I'm pro-life. I'm definitely a Republican committing acts of political violence, political assassination. And I left my manifesto, which is normally buried behind a brick wall 2 layers beneath his basement. You know, that's where most manifesto psychos will leave their manifestos. They don't bring them to the scene of the crime and leave them there for the police to discover. That's, I think, never been done before. But okay, we'll just say maybe that's a possibility. I want to see his text messages. I want to see his emails. I want to see who he's been in touch with. I want to see his political donations. The guy was appointed by Tim Walz, the current left-wing radical Democrat governor who ran for vice president. He was appointed by Tim Walz to a panel, a commission, and he was also appointed by the preceding the previous Democrat Minnesota governor to A panel, B panel as well. 2 Democrat governors have appointed him to panels. That's kind of because I don't think they look for Republicans and Trump supporters to appoint to panels. Oh, speaking of which, it was 10 years ago today, that Donald Trump came down the escalator in New York City, starting his political career in earnest 10 years ago today. That's kind of remarkable, too. But let me get back to this psycho, because yesterday I was going back and forth with friends, and I'm like, what if this guy is Juicy Smollett? What if he said, you know what, I'm going to commit a crime, and I'm going to make sure that Republicans are blamed for it. Now, this looks like it was a message to Democrats that would vote against the Democrat Party and the way that the Democrat Party wind is blowing, which is, oh, of course, we're going to provide taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens in the state of Minnesota. Except these 2 Democrats, and only these 2 Democrats, put the kibosh on that, right? And how can it be that this alleged conservative, alleged pro-life, alleged Trump supporter would single out these 2 Democrats who just betrayed the Democrat Party, who might have an award given to them by the Republican Party, but this guy targets them and only them, nobody else. And they say, oh, he had a long list of people, in the car that he left there for the police to find as he ran away on foot, the manifesto. And I've got to say, left behind, I was going back and forth again yesterday and saying, is this the first, asking the question, is this the first disinformation manifesto with a misinformation kill list? And in reality, he killed 2 Democrats that had just betrayed the Democrat Party, but he made sure he left the media narrative right there in his vehicle to be found immediately at the scene of the crime. Seems a little too neatly tied up with a bow. Isn't that amazing? You know, the New York Times and CNN, they couldn't wait to, oh, he's a Trump-supporting pro-life Republican. And he left all that there for them, right? And then the media narrative was set because he set the media narrative ahead of time. So is it a feint? Is it a fake? Is it a big fraud that was perpetrated like Juicy Smollett from the very beginning? You know, it's, oh, he says pro-life. Well, all Democrats are pro-death. All Democrats are pro-abortion. Certainly every elected Democrat in Minnesota and the state house and the state senate, they're all pro-death. They're all pro-abortion. Don't be ridiculous. But he created the false media narrative himself ahead of time, if it is a false media narrative. These are questions, if I'm FBI, these are things I'm going to scratch the surface on, because it's obviously a long plotted, a long planned scheme by this guy, Bolter. And gosh, he didn't get in his vehicle and drive away. Now, how long does it take to walk up to a house, ring the doorbell, say police, and then when they open the door, you shoot 2 people. Then you get back in your vehicle and you drive away. But that's not what he did. He stayed there. He hung out until the police came. And how long was that? Not clear yet. That's under investigation. But isn't this all amazing that the media narrative was neatly tied up in a bow by the perpetrator and left by the perpetrator for the police to find immediately, not tomorrow, not in his house, under his mattress, but in the vehicle at the scene of the crime, where he is no longer to be found. Isn't that a neat little package for the Democrat Party? And I'm not, maybe he is a crazy
Angela,
Republican who shot these.
I gotta go splash my face and comb my hair in a minute. I'd like to smoke this fucking joint.
Oh, yeah, neatly tied up. I'm a pro-life Trump supporter, and I left all the evidence right here in my vehicle, which I left here for the police to find. And then I ran away, and I assumed he was going to be found dead. I was surprised when he was not found dead. But he didn't target any abortion clinics, right? He didn't target anybody that pushed an abortion.
Angela, I'm the only one with a wrench in this chat, except for Doug. Dougie Doug has a wrench. He doesn't really use it. It's just so if people block him. You know, he came up and visited me from down where you live. And my nephew, Little Hayden, Sky Hayden has a wrench, which he's probably working right now. So it's just me with a wrench. Have fun.
But he targeted 2 traitors to the Democrat Party that were being vilified in the local media for betraying the Democrat Party, and they're the only ones that are shot. Isn't that peculiar? And their spouses, one husband, one wife. I got the only two holdouts in the Democrat Party. Honestly, it was a huge political victory for Republicans. Why would he target them and only them if he's a Republican? That ought to raise eyebrows. They were the only two Democrats serving the interests of the Republican Party. And so he's supposed to be a Republican who targets the only two Democrats that have ever done the Republican Party a favor in Minnesota politics. Isn't that amazing? And he left his so-called manifesto where it would be found immediately. And they found it immediately, and then it was in the New York Times immediately, and it's a neat little package. The manifesto psychos normally bring their manifesto to the first crime they commit and leave it there, knowing it will be found in a matter of minutes. And you usually target the two Democrats that crossed the party line and violated all the standards of the Democrat Party. That's all peculiar stuff. Sure, he targets those two and only those two, and that makes sense. He leaves the manifesto there to be found, and that makes sense, right? So I've got a lot of questions about this. I'm not. And then he's got a second car pre-positioned. Why does he have a second car pre-positioned? His wife was pulled over with. They're being very vague about this. A passport, is it her passport or his passport? They haven't said. But she was pulled over. Is she an accomplice in all of this? And the morbidly obese Papa John's shirt-wearing roommate in the little house where he rents a room for $200 a month. This is the only guy who says, oh, yeah, he's a Trump supporter, to some random local news reporter who parroted that line. But how do we know that he's not the guy that pre-positioned the second car or was even involved with his getaway? We don't know. The correct answer to that question is we don't know. But I'd like to know. The guy appointed by two Democrat governors, maybe he's Juicy Smollett. Maybe he wanted to set this whole, and he's a PhD, kind of a fake PhD, like not a Dr. Jill Biden. So I've got that I want to explore today. We are at 888-630-9625.
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. Late problems continue. Swinks Mill Road closed each direction at Old Dominion Drive. Crash damaged a utility pole. Eastbound 7 closed at Colvin Run Road. The west intersection for crash cleanup. 193, the Georgetown Pike jammed with the bailout. 270 northbound direction. The right lane of 2 gets by the crash involving an overturned tractor trailer. Jammed on 270 and 355 with the bailout traffic. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Cloudy with scattered showers and thunderstorms today and a high of 70. Mostly cloudy with more showers possible overnight, low 65.
When you get hurt at work, Carruthers and Clough goes to work for you. They're researching, interviewing, gathering facts, and doing all they can to help you get back on your feet. They work and you recover. You can focus on getting healthy and returning to work because Carruthers and Clough are doing the hard work for you. Ask a friend, ask your family. Who would they call for help with workers' compensation? Carruthers and Clough. Go to nylawcc.com and contact Carruthers and Clough. We work, you recover.
At State CS Employees Federal Credit Union, we believe hardworking employees of New York State Civil Service, Watertown City, and Watertown School District deserve more than just a thank you. You deserve a great deal on your auto loan. At State CS, our auto loans are designed with you in mind. Fast approvals, flexible terms, and a loan that puts your hard-earned money back where it belongs, in your pocket. Our hassle-free loan process will put you in the driver's seat faster. Finance your new or pre-owned dream car today. You deserve it. Apply online at statecs.org.
Let's move! We have soccer practice, dance, and a play date.
Life moves fast, so every second counts, especially when it comes to big decisions like buying a car. That's why searching through Navy Federal's car buying service powered by TrueCar is a perfect place to start.
Thanks, Mom.
Navy Federal can help you find and finance the right vehicle so you can go wherever life takes you. Visit NavyFederal.org/TrueCar to learn more. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. Credit and collateral subject to approval.
Do you
Sponsored
approve
by
of
Rumble.
Donald
Join
Trump
millions who
and what
trust
he's done
Rumble's
with the
top
National
live streaming
Guard?
personalities to break down the news that matters in real time. Miss the live stream? Catch the full video replay on demand with zero censorship. Download the Rumble app from your Apple Play or Google Play store today and choose from thousands of creators covering everything from financial markets to daily events and more. Choose an open internet and free expression. Choose rumble.com today.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price.
Not what I
And
asked
with our
you,
lowest
Randy.
price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price
Randy,
somewhere
how do you
else in the
feel
same
about
item,
the President
we'll
of the
match it.
United States
Lowe's,
calling
we
out the
help,
National
you
Guard
save.
in your state
Price match applies the
to
same item.
squash
Current price
down
of
the
all around
riots?
retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowe's.com/lowest price guarantee.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And just like you, he relies on Grainger to help. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My name is Georgios Tsetis. I'm the co-founder of Nutrafol. My hair started thinning in my early 20s. I tried everything and nothing was really working. So we created Nutrafol. Our hair growth supplements undergo clinical trials and have helped millions of men and women get visibly thicker and stronger hair in just 3 to 6 months.
Hair growth starts from the inside at Nutrafol.com. That's Nutrafol.com.
Former U.S. Navy SEAL Sean Ryan captures real stories about sacrifice and strength.
Everybody has the opportunity. It all depends on your mindset. How does that work? You know good and bad, right from wrong.
We heard a Mayday call. And evil can't hide. Bird gets hit, crashes. You're never the same.
And it's up to you. Just do the right thing, and you can do it.
The Sean Ryan Show.
I dig into everything in the world. It's my job to expose what I know.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
At State CS Employees Federal Credit Union, we believe hardworking employees of New York State Civil Service, Watertown City, and Watertown School District deserve more than just a thank you. You deserve a great deal on your auto loan. At State CS, our auto loans are designed with you in mind. Fast approvals, flexible terms, and a loan that puts your hard-earned money back where it belongs, in your pocket. Our hassle-free loan process will put you in the driver's seat faster. Finance your new or pre-owned dream car today. You deserve it. Apply online at statecs.org.
WMAL, making sense of social media because big tech can't be trusted. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
There are a lot of peculiar elements to this
Said she doesn't
terrible
have time
crime
for you anymore. You're just
by
a
this
waste of
horrible
time.
person, no matter how you slice it. He should get the death penalty, but they don't have the death penalty in Minnesota. Maybe a federal death penalty because he'll probably end up with federal crimes being filed as well. But I've got to say, again, my initial questions still stand. Why would he target only 2 Democrats who had just been plastered all over the news in Minnesota for being the 2 Democrats that voted against the Democratic Party's plan to give free, that is to say, taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens in the state of Minnesota? Those would be the last people that you would target if you were a Trump voter and a Republican of any kind. Well, these 2 Democrats, I guess, you can do business with them because every now and then they do a reasonable thing. And those are the only 2 that are targeted, the only 2 that are shot. And the guy leaves his crime mobile there with his manifesto in there, but he's got putting the target on Republicans, but he's got a getaway vehicle nearby.
This is the Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. Heads up out of Clarksburg, an unusual delay 270 northbound to get past the crash after 109. The left lane of 2 gets by the overturned tractor trailer accident and cleanup. They're still bunched up on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway into Laurel. The crash is before 197. Vienna, eastbound 7 at Colvin Run Road. The west intersection for crash cleanup had all eastbound lanes closed. And the Fairfax County Parkway northbound crash at Burke Center Parkway with that stop and go. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Cloudy with scattered showers and thunderstorms today and a high of 70. Mostly cloudy with more showers possible overnight, low 65.
When it's time to scale your business, it's time for Shopify. Get everything you need to grow the way you want, like all the way. Stack more sales with the best converting checkout on the planet. Track your cha-chings from every channel, right in one spot. And turn real-time reporting into big-time opportunities. Take your business to a whole new level. Switch to Shopify. Start your free trial today.
From taco night in Tulum to sushi in Tokyo, everybody's rewarding and post-worthy with Amex Gold's 4 times membership rewards points at restaurants worldwide. Wherever you dine, points are piling up. So bring your friends along for your next course, because it's not all about the posts. It's about the company and the memories. How can gold from Amex sweeten your next food moment? Learn more at americanexpress.com/explore-gold. Terms and points cap apply.
Creating your own business is everything. Getting it registered in compliance, not so much. LegalZoom has everything you need to launch, run, and protect your business, all in one place. LegalZoom has already helped launch, run, and protect millions of businesses. LegalZoom, now you're in business. Get everything you need from setup to success at LegalZoom.com. LegalZoom provides access to independent attorneys and self-service tools. LegalZoom is not a law firm and does not provide legal advice, except for authorized through its subsidiary law firm, LZ Legal Services, LLC.
Sponsored by Rumble. Join millions who trust Rumble's top live streaming personalities to break down the news that matters in real time. Miss the live stream? Catch the full video replay on demand with zero censorship. Download the Rumble app from your Apple Play or Google Play store today and choose from thousands of creators covering everything from financial markets to daily events and more. Choose an open internet and free expression. Choose Rumble.com today.
The NBA Finals are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is pulling out all the stops. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers, bet $5 to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code HEART. That's code HEART for new customers to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
At Grand Canyon University, we believe in equal opportunity, and the American dream starts with purpose. By honoring your sacred vocation of education, you impact your family, your friends, and your community. From teaching pre-K through 12th grade students to educational administration, GCU's online bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree programs can help you reach your goals. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Visit gcu.edu. Initial teacher licensure programs are not available in Kentucky.
We know you're loving the new preset feature on the new and improved iHeartRadio app.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite new thing.
But did you know you can make almost anything a preset? Your favorite local station, sure. But your favorite podcast, that amazing playlist you made for free? Even iHeart stations you can't get on the radio, like Pop Top 20, iHeart Pop Hits, and Pop Rocks.
That's a game changer.
Whatever you choose, it's as easy as tap to make a preset. Find out what everyone's talking about and get the new and improved free iHeartRadio app today. iHeartRadio.
This Father's Day, Instacart is here to make your old man feel like a kid again. Get him his favorite toys from 2025 and his favorite treats from $19.99. So don't wait until Father's Day to place your order. Or do, because that's what we're here for. Save up to 20% on gifts from retailers like the Home Depot, Kohl's, and Ulta Beauty when you order on Instacart. Minimum spend required. Maximum discount applies. Discounts vary. Limited to eligible retailers and products. Brand exclusions and additional terms apply.
WMAL, making sense of mainstream media because the double standard is real. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Hey, we're back. I want to share with you the news reporting and some of the news reporting on these two Democrats betraying the Democratic Party before they were shot by a guy who was appointed by two Democrat governors to commissions in Minnesota. And now they've got the morbidly obese guy in the little house with the Papa John's shirt saying, oh, yeah, he's a Trump supporter. And that's good enough for the New York Times and for CNN. That's all they need. Now, maybe that guy's the guy that pre-positioned the second vehicle. Why did he have? He had a second vehicle, perhaps because he knew he was going to leave the first vehicle, where police would immediately find the manifesto, which would put a target on the Republican Party. And I can't help but wonder whether this guy, Bolter, was doing a Juicy Smollett style. Oh, yeah, it was MAGA that did it. And again, why would the MAGA guy choose? These are the least likely Democrats, I would think, that you would choose. And they had just been all over the news for being bad Democrats. These are Democrats, again, that you might have a black tie dinner for and give them a lucite block for doing the right thing. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. We're at 888-630-9625. Let's go to Chris calling from the great state of New Jersey. Christopher, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yes, how you doing, Chris? Yeah, the first thing that Tim Walz did, the first thing that came out was say this was a politically motivated attack, right? Which would lay the groundwork for this was a Republican, right?
Right.
But then, so that was obviously to feed the media that narrative. But then the guy had Bill Moore King's flyers in his car, so I think this was, like you said, a misinformation thing with the manifesto and all this. Uh-huh. But it was also a cue to start the revolution, like saying, yeah, there are no more kings. Let's get this going. This is how we have to do this. Like, I think he became a revolutionary, and he's trying to start the civil war that they want.
Well, I've got to tell you, Chris, you raise honest, sincere questions, legitimate questions, and the No Kings flyers, I haven't even gotten to that yet, and you're 100% right. With all these No Kings protests across the country and the news media adoring, loving, gushing all over these No Kings protests. There were a few of them at the U.S. Army birthday parade. My best girl and I went down to the U.S. Army 250th birthday parade. President Trump and Melania, much of the cabinet, and of course, United States Army represented very well on Saturday. And my best girl and I went down there and had a great time, had a wonderful time. I've got to say, wonderful stuff. There were a small number of No Kings people that went into the crowd. And of course, they weren't beat up or set on fire or anything like a left-wing protest. And when we were leaving, Chris, on 14th Street, there was some really demented, screaming, shrieking, mostly women, Democrat No Kings people who were frothing at the mouth and screaming more loudly than you've probably ever heard anybody scream in your lifetime, screaming at the top of their lungs like, man. And as we're walking out, we're sort of chuckling. Everybody's mellow and having a nice time. So maybe we should bring a couple of tanks over, roll a tank over these screaming, shrieking protesters. But you're right about, look, in his vehicle, why would a Trump-supporting Republican have a stack of lots and lots, looked like dozens and maybe more flyers with the Democrat Party's radical left-wing anti-Trump No Kings protests set up for across the country? And the media is telling us there were millions of them, millions and millions of them. And this alleged Trump-supporting Republican, allegedly pro-life person, according to one morbidly obese guy in a house where he rents a room for $200-something a month. And this guy allegedly lives. And I got to tell you, if I'm FBI, I'm looking at the morbidly obese guy in the house where the lunatic rented a room, and I'm going to check where his cell phone was, whether he was pre-positioning the second automobile, whether they were together. Look at their text messages, their emails, their voicemails. I've got to assume that there's more to this than meets the eye. I'm not buying it. And you're right. Tim Walz came out. Also, this thing happened very early in the morning, 3-something in the morning. It was all happening. And Tim Walz held a press conference about 11 a.m. I'm guessing by that time, he already knew that this guy was someone that he had appointed to a board. And somehow that didn't come up. Vance Luther Bolter was a guy appointed by Tim Walz to a very important state panel, an honorary panel. It was a great thrill for him, no doubt. And the reality is that the news media likes to selectively edit all of this information and give you the bare minimum and only what would incriminate Republicans and Trump supporters because that's what they do. Listen, Chris, thank you for the call and thank you for thinking about it and raising questions. Now, let me get to some news media reporting on this, right? The Julio Rosas on Twitter, on X, breaking. I'm told by a police source in Minnesota, the suspect in the shooting, a Minnesota state lawmaker, is Vance Luther Bolter. It appears the same Bolter was appointed to the governor's Workforce Development Board in 2019 by Governor Tim Walz. He appointed to the governor's Workforce Development Council in 2016 by then Governor Mark Dayton, who I looked up because I didn't remember him. Another Democrat, another liberal left-wing Minnesota Democrat, and Minnesota Democrats are all crazy these days, so I'm sure he is too. Governor Mark Dayton, a Democrat, appointed him to a panel in 2016, and then 3 years later, Tim Walz, a proud left-wing radical, appointed the same guy in 2019 to the governor's Workforce Development Council. Isn't that amazing? And then the governor's Workforce Development Board, there's a council, then there's a board. So he's appointed by 2 different Democrat governors. Why? I don't know. They'll spin something. But I've got to say that Walz came out at the press conference, and he looked rattled and shaken, and understandably. And I've got to say, Chris, you say it's a political shooting. It would be pretty obvious to call it a political shooting when a member of the State House was shot, and then a handful of miles away, a member of the State Senate was shot, and they're both Democrats, and their spouses were shot, and it was in their homes, and it was after midnight and Friday night, early Saturday morning in the wee small hours. And certainly it's political. No matter how you slice it, these are political shootings. Now, if the guy is an actual pro-life Trump supporter, then it's a political shooting. If that was an elaborate cover story, Juicy Smollett style, then it's still a political shooting, but it's also a hate crime. And the hate crime would be against Republicans and Trump voters. Now, let me go to the Newsweek magazine. Thank you, Chris. The Newsweek magazine. Do they still publish? Minnesota lawmaker killed after migrant vote. This is the headline in Newsweek, after migrant vote. Rocking No Kings protest. What does it have to do with the No Kings protest? That's the Democrat Party across the country with their brainwashed, glassy-eyed zombie army. And here's Newsweek magazine. Minnesota Democratic State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband were shot and killed early Saturday morning, very, very late Friday night, in an act of targeted political violence, Governor Tim Walz said during a press conference on Saturday. Earlier this week, listen now, Hortman provided the only Democratic Farmer Labor Party vote on HF1, the House vote number 1, a bill amending the state's Minnesota Care coverage eligibility. The bill, which passed the House on June 12th, enforces citizenship requirements to obtain the state's Medicaid program coverage, stripping adult undocumented migrants from publicly funded health care. Wait a minute, she voted to strip undocumented migrants from publicly funded health care? Yes, she did. Well, wouldn't Republicans applaud that? I think Republicans would. Hortman and her husband, Mark, were pronounced dead Saturday morning after a gunman posing as a law enforcement officer arrived at their home in the early hours and shot them. Walls called the shooting a politically motivated assassination. I think that's fair, no matter how you slice it. The gunman, this as of the writing this Newsweek story, the gunman, who remains at large, has now been captured alive, surprisingly, had targeted the home of another Democratic lawmaker, State Senator John Hoffman, shortly before the attack at the Hortmans. Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, were shot multiple times and underwent surgery. I believe that Hoffman was shot 9 times and his wife was shot 8 times. Total psychopath. Much more like a Democrat Party representative.
God damn it.
Representative Walls, a Democratic nominee for vice president, the governor, last year said the killing was politically motivated without elaborating. Sure. Well, again, pretty obvious. I'll go ahead and accept that as obvious. Hortman provided the sole Democratic vote in Minnesota's lower chamber to pass a Republican bill that would strip adult undocumented migrants of state-funded health care. The bill passed the House 68 to 65, with Hortman's vote helping Republicans secure its passage, which left Hortman in tears. Passage. The vote took place against an increasingly violent backlash to the Trump administration's tough immigration policies, thus infuriating hardcore lefties and Democrats. Protests in Los Angeles erupted into rioting last weekend, and and all week, but never mind that, it's Newsweek magazine. And no Kings protests were planned in cities across the country on Saturday, President Trump's 79th birthday. I mean, the 250th anniversary of the Army and also Flag Day, but they leave that out at Newsweek magazine. And the No Kings things turned into riots across the country, but they just call them protests. Amazing stuff. And his tough immigration policies. But wait, Minnesota State Police said they had found No Kings flyers in the suspect's car. And the No Kings protests across the state have been canceled. But why did he have the No Kings flyers in his car if he's a Trump supporter? That doesn't make any sense, and a Republican voter. State Patrol Colonel Christina Bogovich, she asked people out of an abundance of caution to not attend any of the No Kings protests that were scheduled across the state on Saturday. She added no direct evidence showed the protest would be targeted. Sure, of course. Now, Hortman, who was the House DFL, the Democratic Farm Labor Caucus, which is a very left-wing party. She, the woman who was murdered, had a distinguished career in the Minnesota House, the state house, previously served as speaker from 2019 till early 2025, first elected in 2004 in her 11th term. And honestly, I saw her talking and such. She seemed like a very nice, reasonable person, even if she belongs to this left-wing party. But Hortman's an attorney, earned her law degree from the University of Minnesota, and got naturally her master's in public administration from Harvard, because everybody has to go to Harvard if you're going to go into Democrat politics. Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government. They had 2 children, Colin and Sophie, and it's a very tragic, terrible murder. Now, there's the next story, John Hoffman. John Hoffman, still Newsweek magazine. John Hoffman, also a member of the DFL, Democrat Farm Labor Party, very left-wing party, has held the seat representing 34th District since being elected in 2012. That's 13 years ago. He was majority whip for 3 years from 2017 to 2020. Now, according to voting records, John Hoffman, the man who was shot in his home with his wife, voted against the bill as well, amending Medicaid eligibility for illegal aliens when it came before the state Senate. See, one's in the state Senate, liberal, left-wing party, the DFL party, both of them. But both of them, very peculiar, voted with the Republicans in this particular instance. Isn't that amazing? That's completely nuts. So these two Democrats that both voted against the Democrat Party, they were the only ones targeted. They were the only ones shot by a guy who was appointed to a board by the current Democrat governor and by the previous Democrat governor. Isn't that odd? Man, oh man. Melissa Hortman, who was shot and killed, got her start in politics working for then Senator Al Gore, and then for John Kerry in Washington, D.C. I've got to say, I think this is a head scratcher. Why these two Democrats? These would seem to be the least likely Democrats to be targeted by a Republican, but perhaps the most likely Democrats to be targeted by a Democrat. So that doesn't mesh. That doesn't jive. Why did he leave his manifesto in the car, knowing that the police would find it immediately at the scene of the crime? Why did he have a second car pre-positioned nearby that he knew he could and perhaps knew that he would run to when the police grabbed his manifesto from his fake police car SUV, which he left at the scene of the crime with his manifesto inside, the manifesto painting a target on the Republican Party? Anybody else find any of this peculiar? Has any other manifesto psycho ever left their manifesto at the first crime that they ever committed? Odd. 888-630-9625. I'm the curious type, and I like to investigate. I've got a lot of...
All right, sad to say I got to go because I got a ride coming, so I got to jump in the shower and take off. But I'll be back later. Thanks for saying hello, Angela.
Carpet cleaning traffic center. Heads up going 270 northbound after 109. Yes, we have the overturned traffic.
Angela's got them all worked up.
Two getting by, but now they've stopped all traffic to try to upright this tractor trailer, diverting all traffic northbound at 109.